Hello friends, welcome to Ikra Technology. Let's learn about encapsulation in Python. So encapsulation is a concept of object-oriented programming, which means hiding the internal detail of object by wrapping the attributes and functions inside a class. So encapsulation hides the sensitive data from direct access of user. So you can let me explain this to you with an example. So suppose you have a class called as bank which have certain functions, right? uh, like to deposit, withdraw, and functions like this. So you have a balance of 100 rupees, okay, and only bank should be allowed to change your balance if you withdraw your money through bank or deposit your money. So suppose you are depositing 50 rupees, your balance should get 150, and if you are withdrawing 50 rupees, your balance should become 50 rupees. So if the function of withdraw or the function uh, function of changing the balance, you can say function of manipulating the balance variable, is given to user can add any amount as user pleases to the balance, and balance will now be controlled by user, which is not good for security purpose. So to avoid such situation, this is one of the situation, we use encapsulation, where we wrap the internal details of an object for security purpose, as well as we only expose what is necessary. Okay, so let's see very basic example of how to create a class and object first, then we will go to this. So let me create a class called as my class. Okay, and in my class I'll create uh, an attribute called as name, and I will give it as xyz. Okay, and now I'll create a function called as greet, and as this a method of a class, it will compulsorily have self parameter. Okay, then I will write hello self dot name, which means I will greet. This is what greet function usually does. Then now this is how we create class. Now in order to create object, you have to write obj is equals to my class, and then we have to call the function obj dot greet. We are calling the function obj dot greet here, and let's see. So let me just python python test.py, and see, it's printing hello xyz. So this is the very basic example of using classes and objects. Now let's understand what I explained you before. So here we have a class called as bank account, okay, and in this bank account we have a private variable underscore underscore balance. So one thing to note here is whenever we have to create a private variable, we must add two leading underscores to it in order to create that. So initially we are creating a private variable with uh, zero balance. Whenever that, which means whenever we create an object, we pass an amount. Okay, see, here we are creating object of bank account class, so here we are passing the amount. What we are checking here is if the amount passed, if the amount passed is less than 0, then we have to print the initial balance cannot be negative. What I'm doing is, when I'm creating whenever you create a bank account, there must be some minimum balance, be it 100 rupees, 1000 rupees. So here when we are creating a bank account, we are giving it a minimum balance of 1000 rupees. But we have to make sure that balance cannot be negative, right? So this is what we are checking here. If initial balance is less than 0 means negative, initial balance cannot be negative, it will print this. Else whatever the balance we are providing in our parameter initial balance while creating the object, it will assign that to the balance of our bank account class. So what is happening here is our private variable balance will have the balance we have given in the ob, uh, init sorry in constructor here while creating the object. So the value of the private variable balance will now become 1000. Now in order to change or manipulate the value of a private variable, so let's first understand what are scopes. Okay, so there are two types of scopes in Python, which are private and public. So what does it mean by private? Private variable will only be accessible within the class. You cannot access, modify or change the value of the private variable outside from the class. Okay, so what if there is a situation where I have to change the value outside of the class? We can only do it using a dedicated method. We cannot directly manipulate the value of variable. Okay, so to explain this to you, let me show you what I mean. So suppose here I am taking obj dot name and I am assigning it a value of abc. Okay, and let's print it. See, now it's printing hello abc. So what I have done is this is, see, as there is no leading underscores before the name variable inside the class, that means this variable is a public variable. So I am able to change its value outside of the class. But as soon as I will add leading underscores, I cannot change its value outside the class. So let me show you. See, it's printing hello xyz because it's not taking the value, sorry, it's not taking the value I am giving it from here. Let me print it again. See, it's printing hello xyz only because you cannot change the value of a private variable outside of the class, but you can change the value of a public variable outside of the class. So this is what you must note. So here we can only change the value of balance inside of the class. We cannot change the value of balance from outside. So if there is a scenario where we need to change the value of the balance variable from outside, I must use a function to get the value. We will create a getter function. To change the value, we will create a setter function. So what getter does is, here I have explained. So what getter does is, getter gets the value of the private variable for you. And see, a getter method allow you to read the value of a private variable, and what setter method does is, it is used to modify the value of a private variable, adding validations or conditions as needed. So there must be certain condition by which the value of the private variable must be changed even with the setter. So that those conditions and those validations are defined inside the setter. So if there is a scenario where you want to change the value of a private variable, you must use getter and setter method. You cannot directly access and change the value of private variable. I think I have cleared this till now. Now let's see the further program. Here we are creating getter method to access the balance. So this is what this is doing is, this is a balance method which returns you the value of the balance, which is a private variable. So whenever you want to get the current balance, you must use this getter method to get the balance instead of variable, as variable will not give you any value, so you must use this getter method to get the value of the balance. Then if you want to deposit the money in your account, so you can do it using deposit method. Now deposit method is again a type of a setter method, as we are changing the value of balance here, right? So whatever the amount you want to deposit, you will pass it into the deposit function, okay, and then it will check if amount is less than or equal to 0, you must alert that deposit amount must be positive. Okay, you cannot deposit 0 rupees or in negative value, right? You must deposit a positive value only. If the condition is if this condition is false, then it will increment the balance by the amount, which means if the balance is 1000 and amount is 50, the new balance will become 1050 and it will print the deposited amount as well as the new balance. Okay, now this is withdraw method. Now withdraw method is again a type of setter method. Here we have two setter methods. This is one setter method and this is two setter method. Why am I calling this a setter method? Because it is working on a private field, a private variable of the class. That's why. So what withdraw is doing, we will take amount, like how much amount you want to withdraw. It will check if the amount is negative. If the amount is negative, it will obviously alert you to enter a positive amount. Else it will check if amount is greater than balance. Okay, so suppose my account has 1050 rupees and I'm trying to withdraw 1100 rupees, so it will give me insufficient funds, like no, you cannot withdraw. Else if both of these conditions are not met, which means amount is neither negative not more than the balance, then you can withdraw the amount. Okay, how you can withdraw the amount? What usually happens is, whenever if there is 1000 rupees in my account and I'm trying to withdraw 50 rupees, what will happen is balance will become 950 and I'll get the 50 rupees. So that's how withdraw function works. Now let's see the object creation and how this all is happening. So first we have created an object of bank account, in which initially we have given the balance as 1000 rupees. You can consider this as minimum balance, as this is a positive value, so it will not alert you. Then I am depositing 500 rupees more. Okay, so we are depositing account dot deposit 500. So now the private variable balance will become 1500. Now if you withdraw 200 rupees, now the private variable balance will become 1300 rupees, and at the end you can print the final balance using the balance function, using the getter function we created. Remember, we created a getter function to get the current balance, so we are using that function to get the final balance. So this is how it works. This is the explanation. You can go through it once. So let's quickly revise what we learned today. Encapsulation means hiding the internal details of an object and complexities from the user for easy access and for security purpose, and exposing only what is necessary. We can do this using certain techniques, which is declaring variables as private, as I explained you with the balance example, using getter and setter method to access and update the value of private method. So what is getter? Getter is used to get the value of the private variable of a class, and setter is used to change or manipulate the value uh, of a private variable. So getter and setter both are methods. You can name them anything, but that's what the concept is called. Then here we understood the bank account example, where we give some initial balance. We check if initial balance is positive. If it is positive, then we set the initial balance to the minimum balance we have provided. Then this function returns you the current value of the balance. and this function works for your deposit. When you add an amount, it will add it to your balance. When you withdraw an amount, it will reduce it from your balance. These both are setter methods and this is the getter method. And here we have done the object creation and perform all the operation. One thing to notice, whenever you are creating a private variable, you must use two double leading underscore. This is what tells the Python interpreter that this is a private variable. Okay, a private variable cannot be accessed outside of a class, it can only be accessed inside of a class. If you want to access a value of private variable outside, you must use a function called as a method called as getter and setter. Getter is used to get the value of the private method and setter is used to set or change the value of the private method. So yeah, that's all about today's video. Thank you.